Today we had a very nice recovery. Both GME AMC recovered very nicely, especially AMC. I think AMC did pretty well after it went down to 2%, minus 2% in the morning by 11 a.m. Normally there's a stock plunge around that time, right? So it had a pullback and then start to recover by 2, and then it pushes up even higher, so it finished at +2. So basically if you buy here, you should up by 4%, right? So something like that, and then went up a little bit more after hours. Same thing as GME. GME went down even harder, went down -4% by noon, I say 11 a.m. Fully recovered pretty much by end of the market. So it's very nice, so today I'm just gonna walk you guys through what I'm still looking at. Am I still looking at the June will be the squeeze phase, and then you're gonna find out the answer after this stream. So not only just GME and AMC, FFAI, I'm tracking this one as well because the fact that this one also exploded on May 13 last year when Roaring Kitty tweets. I thought it will be only impact the GME AMC and probably cost, but FFAI blew up 4,000%. It was very interesting, but this reminds me of cost. No one noticed it until you see it after the squeeze finish, and then you're like, wow, this went up 4,000%. So it looks like they might be in the basket stock somehow. We'll see, but the way they play out, interestingly, it's mimicking a similar to last year December, the fractals, right? That's kind of how I noticed it, and then I copied the fractals from last year December, brought it here, just paste it there, and it's just mimicking same cycle. All right, I didn't move anything at all, from last streaming. This is just completely tracking exactly the same thing. So it's very surprising. I think FFAI will continue to drop by end of the May. I just kind of point out maybe possibly by May 21st or May 22nd. So maybe I could change that one. Either maybe May 22nd or maybe 21st. Next week, Wednesday, Thursday, I think FFAI will hit the bottom around the buck. There's a still gap open at $1.07. And I think this gap will be filled completely, and then this thing will start to blow up together with the GME and AMC whole basket stock. And I think this one is something to look at. So I'm gonna just play some call options with this one as well, along with GME AMC. I'm not gonna put too much, maybe just a little bit. Just want to test it out. So FFAI is tracking very nicely based on this fractals. It looks like it's gonna also blow up in mid of June. And let's kind of jump back on GME for in the beginning. So GME kind of did a recovery very nicely. I was actually comparing between last stream. I was comparing between AMC 2021 June cycle, right? And then as you see, I did point out that there was a little bit of a staggering, there's a bit of a pullback before this thing start to blow up. So I'm gonna give you a couple fractals just to kind of look at. So let's kind of take a look at this one as a first scenario here. I mean, there's a few scenario I'm looking at, but either way it's gonna go up, right? So let me start with AMC May and June cycle 2021, and based on this, there's a pull. Like I said, it looks very similar to sort of a similar setup as AMC, in terms of the fractals, in terms of the RSI, in terms of the MACD. Everything technically looks very similar. So let me just kind of pull this one out. All right. So on the right side is AMC 2021 April, May, and June rally. Okay, this went up 500%. Right. When you take a look at this one had a pop, had a pullback, had a pop, pullback from GME as well, from this private offerings and stuff like that, earning. It looks very similar. Now after that, this thing slowly recover, and then there's a pullback, right? There's a pullback. So when I add fractals in, it matches very nicely. And before rally, there's a bit of a staggering, area where this thing just, go up and down a little bit on the sideway until this thing start to, pick up the speed and then start to blow up. And then, just when you look at this, only the fractals itself had a pullback, pushes up. There's a bit of a, ups and down, and, some sort of a, just a bit of a delay here and there. But when you take a look at this one, when you draw a line from bottom to the top, it's making very nice a formation, right? From the bottom, after the share offering, pushes up, pull back, and then we had a nice recovery. So basically tomorrow or Monday is the final the pick of the triangle formation, and they have to give us a clear directions whether this will rip to the sky or crash back down. And I know there's a couple people that I've seen the Twitter X saying that they are seeing more downside, and I understand why they say that, right? Because they look at last year, last year's cycle. But the problem is that I'm not criticizing them, but this is just my point of view. The problem is that right now the cycle is not we are not repeating this one. So the reason they see this thing tank it down is because they look at this way. But the problem is they're not repeating the same cycle. We are entering a 2020. So you gotta look at this way too, okay? So for those of you, I might be wrong, guys, but for those of you who recently said AMC can go down even harder to fill this gap at $17, right? There's a gap open up $17, right? This green bar. And I understand that they're concerned, okay? Because they look at this way. They look at this way. But here's a problem, right? The problem is that we are not doing this anymore. We are going through a 2020. You gotta look at 2020 cycle, right? After March earning, same March earning drop, had a pushes up, create a huge triangle formation. This thing start to rip up, right? So that's kind of where we at. So we're not doing this cycle. We're doing a complete we're doing a cycle from 2020 September, right? From March to September. So we're running this time, not like going downside and then go sideways and then start to rip again, right? We are not repeating that cycle. So we're now going towards more a squeeze phase. Okay, so you can just, I understand their concern, but that's just how I look at it. We are not doing that, right? We are not doing this, okay? And then I understand, some people, have a fear about that, right? Oh yeah, it might, they might do another share offerings and stuff like that. I understand, but the problem is we are not doing this one. We are not doing this cycle here. All right. And then you can just focus on GME. You have to look at FFAI. You have to look at other basket stock. You have to look at AMC. Where are we at, right? So you want to compare all together, I look at I didn't look at FFAI before, guys, right? I only started looking at this recently because somebody asked me to kind of they want me to take a look at this one, right? They're like, hey, you should check this one out. This one blew up in March. This one blew up last year May. Don't you think this one is some sort of a got into a basket stock, right? They add this one maybe in the basket stock. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they could dilute these things and then they just continue to dilute even harder. But well, when I look at what happened last May, I was like, okay, let's have a look, right? Let's just have a look, just to see when they're gonna blow up again. And looks like they're gonna blow up in June. Okay, and then that this theory makes sense that maybe June is still on. The squeeze is still on. And now you come back to AMC, right? And you look at AMC, and AMC, I mean, don't get me wrong, AMC is the most difficult stock to track. I think if you figure out AMC, I think other stock is a piece of cake, I think, right? Is that like, because this is super heavily manipulated. So if you figure this one out, then you might, other stock is so much easier, right? But what I figured out, right, is that AMC is now complete this whole cycles of 2020, right? I did kind of point this one out with the RSI here, right? Because when you look at in a bigger picture with AMC did this A phase where this one tanked it down in this COVID phase. That's when the market crash happens. Same thing with this one. When that ape conversion happened, and there's a bunch of dilutions happen here. They did a very similar algo tactic where they tank it down once, push up, and tanking down twice, pushes up, tanking down 3 times, pushes up, tanking down 4 times. That's when they hit the bottom. So basically they use the same algo, right, in this phase, but it was much more, it was much more dragged out. It was much more, it took way more time, right? But the fractal looks exactly the same thing. What happened after that? Go up and down twice. Go up and down twice. At this time, it was faster than this one. This one is slower. But this one was faster. So algo speed is very, very hard to track, right? Hard to track, but yeah, there you go. They use the same fractals, right? They go up and down twice, squeeze. Go up and down twice, squeeze, right? Not squeeze, but they just pushes up. That's when Roaring Kitty came back, pushes up, push back down, go up and down, go up and down, make a bump here, make a bump here, pushes up, pull back down. With this share offering happened in December, and then created this shape. I found that it mimicking exactly the same thing. I call it a red box, right? When you look at RSI looks exactly same thing. Hit the bottom, oversold RSI, pushes up, oversold RSI, pushes up, pull back down. Looks exactly fucking the same. And there was a gap open up here at $3 that was filled, pushes up. After that, next fractals pushes up here, pull back down. The second one here, pull back down. And this down area, the second down was below than this first one. This second one bottom is slightly below than this one as well. Looks exactly same. The third wave here pushes up, pull back down. There's a giant pullback down here because there was a share offering happen. There's no share offering, but they just complete the whole fractals. What's next? The next step is entering a January 2021 squeeze phase, and that's, I think, where we at. Before this thing start to kick up and did a short squeeze, This thing, when you look at early January 2021, it does weird shape like that, right? And then this year it's even weirder. Like I can't even understand what the fuck they're doing, but what they're making is very interesting. So after they complete the whole this 2020 cycle, now we are entering 2021 cycle, and as you can see, they have this huge giant candle pushes up and suddenly pull back down, and that's kind of what I noticed. It's like me as a detective, you know, like I just kind of look at, be like, what kind of fucking candle is that one, right? So this is 12 hours, but I took a look at it 2 hours, and I'm like, what the hell is this candle, right? And then I look at RSI, and RSI hit the bottom. RSI hit the bottom here too. You know, after they, you know, hit here, and hit here, they hit twice like that, right? Somehow, you know what I mean? Like hit here, hit here, hit here, hit here like that, right? And suddenly there's a huge giant candle pop up and pull back down. And I'm like, okay, I've seen that before, right? And that's here. So that's the beginning of 2021 January, right? Pushes up, suddenly a huge candle, and then just like drop, right? But the important thing you want to watch out for is that even though it's creating a huge volatility, go up and down, it's making a higher low very nicely, right? It's just like it's like they're making some sort of a, you know, like a pattern, like I mean just like barcoding, like boom 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 boom, but they're going up, right? So I pull out the fractals from 2021 January, and it looks like it's like same thing. I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck are they doing? They're like they're so fucking lazy that they just copy exactly same fractals, right? So let's have a look. So once this thing hit the bottom in 2021, in January 5th, have a huge wick or candles, and boom, pull back down. That's what happened here. But and then the other thing we wanna watch out for is the time of the algo, right? It's the speed. And then back then it's squeezing within like 20 fucking days, right? But right now, the fractals is way slower, right? So I'm like, okay, it's not. I don't think it's gonna happen in May. So it's gonna be happening probably June. So I was just really watching out that, the speed, and then I slowly enter the positions. And then one thing I noticed is today we had a pullback, right? So after this thing, giant, candles pull back down, start to making a waves, and as you can see here, I mean, it looks super dirty here, right? They're making a weird patterns here, but when you look at it, 4 hours bigger picture, this one cleared up, right? So you can only see a bigger the RSI, like not bigger RSI, but you could, the other like you don't really see unnecessary scribbles, right? You could see a much more wider picture. So but when you look at it, you could clearly see there's a 1 2 3, 3 waves is forming here, and we had a pullback, and today we had a very nice recovery. So that's kind of where we at. When you look at this one in 2021 January, 2025 pop, pullback, first wave, pop, pullback, that's the Gen 8th, pop, pullback, Gen 12, right? So there's another fourth one, and I think maybe this might be the fourth one. There's another one pop here and pullback, right? So that might be the fourth one, And then this thing dropped all of a sudden, and we had a drop today all of a sudden. So I think we might be somewhere there where, like, it's we are maybe we might hit here. We might be in January 14, We might see a pullback tomorrow because it's option expiration day. But if this thing is faster, right, that means we might start to feel that gap, right? So my scenario is I have a two scenario. The first scenario is we're going to have a pullback by tomorrow, or a little bit of a tiny pullback, just forming, just to entering a bit of the wedge, right? Yeah, just tip of the wedge before this thing break out next week, or this thing just could break out tomorrow, and then there's a gap at $2.09, right? I told you about there's $2.09 gap. We could fill that gap tomorrow, right? That's the second scenario I'm looking at. So we could just start to fill this gap. Then if AMC start to filling this $2.90 gap, then okay, this thing might be running this time faster, right? So it might be there. And there's a gap. Next gap is a $4 gap, so maybe they're gonna fill this gap for the next one, for the next the staircases, right? Because AMC is forming this couple staircases before squeeze happen, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking at. AMC is still very early stage of a squeeze, entering maybe AMC just entered a squeeze cycle, and I think that's kind of where we at, and coming back to GME, right? Coming back to GME, I was looking at AMC, right? June run, right? 2021, and then when you take a look at this one, today RSI. I mean, I don't know if I should go through the whole thing again, but maybe there might be people who come here as a newcomer. So, but anyway, so this thing was here, pushes up, pull back, and this thing start to rip, right? That's AMC 2021 June squeeze, right? And when you look at RSI, and even when you look at MACD here, I mean, there's too many stuff that I can show you here, but so when you look at MACD, this thing pushes up, right? Start to breaking out of this one, and then have a pullback today, and then start to recover. That similar actions happening somewhere here, right? There's a pullback, and then boom, just like pushes up harder. So really depends on tomorrow, and really depends on actually what tomorrow's action is gonna be. If GME start to pushes up tomorrow, then this thing tracking same as May June. I don't know if I should call it May June squeeze, but people call it June squeeze, right? AMC June squeeze 2021. So we might be kind of a very early stage of June squeeze, May 25th 2021. So that's the first scenario. Let's take a look at the second scenario, right? Second scenario is the last year May cycle, right? So the last year May cycle was this one, right? This is April, May, and then May squeeze, right? So when you look at this one, I'm just gonna tone this one down, and then I'm gonna bring out the May one. Let me just change the color, maybe just to maybe I'll just change this one. All right, so the May squeeze is this one, let's say, right? I just turn it to pink. I don't know what I just do, whatever colors that you could see better or whatever. So when you look at this one, so there's a huge, so after it hit the bottom, right? This thing pushes up, pull back, right? This thing pushes up, pull back. It just takes so long, right? It took very long time to create from this one. If you compare to with May run, what happened after that, right? Basically just go up and down twice, and then I'm not twice, right? 1, 2, 3, and then start to rip, right? So this thing start to rip on Thursday. So today was Thursday. So I mean, today we just had another pullback and recovery. But what's interesting is this one. You want to pay attention to this one. It was forming a very nice, some sort of a triangle shape here. And as you can see, there's a sharp pullback, pushes up, and there's another sharper pullback, right? So we could see that maybe this area, right? This area might be, maybe I'll just, this area might be this one. This one. Okay? Same color, right? Go up, go down, go up, go down. Pushes up, go sideways, and I don't know. It's just like, yeah, it's just they just make a same fucking, you know what I mean, triangle formation here, right? It's the same thing. They're. I mean, it was very slow a speed, but it's somehow making a setup very similar to this one. Do you see what I mean? Right? I don't know if I'm explaining right way, but anyway, it's just like crazy. Yeah. So anyway, so maybe I'll stretch this one. You know what? I'm gonna just bring this one partially. 1 second. So I'll just bring this part where this thing squeeze here. Maybe it's easier that way. So when you look at this one, I'm just gonna change to yellow. You see how this isn't pushes. Yeah, there was a pullback down, right? There's a pullback, pushes up, and another pullback, right? So I think that looks very similar to this one, right? I don't know, to me. And then I don't know, maybe it's this one comes down this way, so yeah, fuck, I don't know. But I don't know, that's just kind of what I'm looking at, you know, like you know what I mean, right? So basically today, yeah, so anyway, today it formed this final triangle formation. It's at the tip. Something happened tomorrow, I don't know, maybe this thing, if this thing starts to run tomorrow like this, then you know where we at, right? You know, oh yeah, maybe that's where we're at. There's a gap here at 32 bucks. If this thing start to rip and then maybe pull back, I mean there's earning here in June 4th, so I think this thing is gonna run like AMC, you know, AMC June squeeze, you know, I don't know, but you know what I mean, right? Yeah. So tomorrow we're gonna see a real price movement, I think, from GME, maybe follow AMC, who knows, you know. So yeah, I think it's tracking very nicely. So and one thing I want to show you is that this is AMC, but I want to show you GME, right? So right now this is GME 6 hours. I want to show you something. It looks very similar to this one. So when you look at MACD here, okay, so this is April, right? Last year, May, April. This is a huge, you know what I mean? This one is a huge first step, like first staircases. They make a huge first step staircases here, okay? And now we are doing this one, I think, right? I mean, this is like so hard to see, but and then yeah, and then when you look at MACD here, okay, look at the MACD. Don't look at the candle here for a second. Just pay attention to MACD. You see this this forming shape, I mean triangle shape here. It's also forming this triangle shape. It looks very similar, right? When you look at MACD in this area, I mean, well, not at this area, sorry. Yeah, anyway, yeah, it looks very similar. I mean, this thing pushes up, pull back, and then you see this thing pushes up, pull back here, right? At this area. You see? It looks very similar setup. So I think tomorrow, yeah, we could see what kind of price actions. I mean, I think, yeah, maybe this thing start to rip, or some sort of a, I don't know, some announcement happen or something. I think, yeah, tomorrow is very important. I think and also it's a May OPEX, right? So, um, yeah, that's kind of what happened today, right? There's a pullback here too. You see? I mean, it's very tiny, but you see there's a red candle. That's a pullback. That's what happened. That's what you saw today. So I think we could start to see a big, candle like that. Like boom, like that. And if you see that, then okay, yeah, we are tracking similar to early May run, you know. So, but it all depends. I think either it will run like, early May run, or either this thing run like, June squeeze, like AMC 2021 June squeeze. Whatever happens, this thing I think will go all the way up to at least to $80. I think at least to 80, 90. If this run like AMC, run like GME, this could hit like the 120 level or something like that. That's the peak of the this run, right? Peak of the Gen 2021, right? So we could retest that one, right, somehow. And then that makes sense because AMC entering 2021 squeeze, and AMC 2020 squeeze, this went up 1,000%, right? So it makes sense that maybe it could be much more explosive this phase. FFAI, based on this fractals too, it looks like it's gonna run very similar to last year December. They're so lazy to change it, so they just copy exactly the same thing. Maybe, or they just test this version in December, test this fractals in December last year, and using it right now. And then it looks like it's gonna blow up to about 1,000% or 700%, up to 13. There's a $13 gap. There's a $11 gap. So maybe this might be filled in this phase. Who knows? But anyway, something's gonna happen in June, in my opinion, still. So yeah, let's see how GME will move tomorrow, and then how AMC will move tomorrow. I think this will give us much more clear indications, what's going to happen next throughout next week, and also in June squeeze. And also it's very important for me to know if AMC will also start to run like this. Let's say, because when I look at AMC here, AMC, it says when I look at 6 hours, okay, this thing, you see how this created A, B, right? I already kind of point this one out here, lay out all this one, and suddenly you see there's a long signal showing up here, and then this one long signal appear up here. This so it's possible that this thing could also rip tomorrow. AMC will start to rip tomorrow. So really depends. I mean, a market maker, they're really just using the speed of algo, just fuck around, and they could just run tomorrow. So we'll see, if this thing start to fill this gap at $2.09, 2.9, I think, yeah, then this thing is going to fly. There's still a gap at $4, so I need to see that confirmations. But yeah, and they have a pullback by end of May, start to rip by early June or end of May. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think AMC is gonna yeah, maybe go this way. I don't know. Yeah, maybe they're gonna drag this one a little bit further to by early June. Maybe they could pop tomorrow with GME, right? Maybe they're gonna have a little bit of a pullback until June, a little bit delay further until the maybe maybe move close to GME earning, and then maybe pop together with GME earning, something like that, and then gamma squeeze. So we'll see, right? I can't really tell the whole whole thing, perfectly. I can't really just figure out everything perfectly, but either it's gonna AMC and GME start to rip tomorrow, or maybe have a pullback for AMC. Maybe GME start to move tomorrow. So, but I think tomorrow we're gonna see we're gonna have a better ideas tomorrow, right? But I don't know. I think there's a possibility that this thing start to rip. But the funny thing is FFAI actually drops. So I think this thing have its own fractals here. But when it starts to run, it'll run together, I think. So it looks like FFAI has its own the fractals, because this one was down today. Although this one has a recovery, I think, right? Let's see. Yeah, this one also have a mimicking very similar. So 950 went down minus 4% by almost close to 11 a.m. minus still 4 point almost 5%. Yeah, recover. Yeah, maybe it's mimicking similarly, but I do see that there's one more pullback here because there's a gap here at dollar. So maybe they're gonna fill this one. But yeah. But even FFAI, looking at this whole fractals and the way it's gonna move, it looks like they're gonna bring this one down to end of May tomorrow. End of May, Friday, or May 22nd, basically next week, and then this thing start to move from early June, right? June 2nd here for FFAI. That's kind of how I see it. I mean, if this moves faster, and if they want to run it end of May, I think that's also a possibility. But based on this fractal, it looks like that's kind of when they're going to run. June 10th by June 13th. Yeah, basically this thing will end by OPEX week as well. So that's just kind of how I'm looking at, So AMC 2, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I think I covered pretty much everything. Did I cover everything? I think so, right? Yeah. Also, yeah, maybe MACD. When you look at this AMC MACD, it looks very similar too, right? It goes up and down 3 times, right? I draw a circle here. I draw a crayon here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There's a pullback today, right? Pullback, and then today we had a very fast bounce back up, right? We had a very fast bounce back up. So this one turned just green like this, right? And I'm wondering if we're here, right? Which means here. So this might also start to move tomorrow, right? So we'll see. But I think we're really just the beginning of the squeeze phase. Yeah, I think we are beginning of the squeeze phase, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. For the pick, I mean, people ask like, oh, what's AMC pick, right, for this run? I don't know. I don't know, but we know that this one was about 1,000%, right, from here to here, like 900%. So if you apply same logic, right, let's say from where we add to here, if you add a 900%, that's like $20 or something, $28. But I don't know. We'll see. IMC is super manipulated, right? They're super compressed, so it could blow even bigger. But if you apply 900%, that will give you 20 something bucks, 27 or 28. But based on the fractal, right? Based on the fractal, based on the I'm also looking at I'm not conservatively, but I'm just looking at more like not even realistically, because this thing is impossible to know. But I'm just using the fractals to match the candle from where it hit the bottom to the top, right? When I look at just A box here, when you look at this candle, and then I just kind of match the size of it, and I'm just kind of saying, okay, even the recovery too, right? It looks very similarly. So I'm just matching the size of it, and based on this, I'm like, okay, maybe this could, go up to maybe because there's a gap at $12, right? This thing I think for sure will fill that gap, because it doesn't. I mean, last squeeze was like what? It hit like a 245. It's like pretty much the same as where we at, but went up like fucking like $12, like squeeze. And this time is like 2021 squeeze phase, right? So it should be bigger, I hope, but I don't know. Based on this size, maybe it could be bigger, but there's a gap here at $19. You see, there's a gap here. You see, this gap was made here in back in 2023, March 24th. Not March, sorry, August 24th. So basically, this gap is open at $19.62, and it looks like it might touch that gap here. And then when you look at daily gap, this is all gap they made, right? And you see, even the bear cycle here back in 2000, from 2017 to like 2019, all this gap were filled, right, during the squeeze phase. Same thing, right? During this whole like ape conversion and dilution, this whole thing, they left this gap perfectly. I think it's just like, intentional, who knows, but they left this gap at 40. They left this gap at, I just call it $20 because it's near $20, and then here at $12 again, right? After they fill that gap here at $12, and in May when they start to come down, they open another gap, right? You see, back in May, there's another gap at $9.80. They fill that one. They fill this 12 gap too, but they immediately come down real fast and then left the gap there, which means that they wanted to fill this gap when this thing when the squeeze start to kicks in, right? So when the squeeze kicks in, fill this $12 gap. I think this time, I don't think it's gonna be only this one. It should be also this one, between $17 to $18 gap. So I just call it $20 gap. So we should fill that gap, I think, this week. Not this week. Sorry, by June OPEX. And then this thing will come down again, right? So when you apply the same 2020 squeeze cycle, that's kind of what you're seeing, right? And it looks very similar, right? So we're gonna see that have a sharper pullback. So make sure you don't just fucking hold calls here, right? If you're a trader, anyone who's watching my YouTube video or X, I think some of them are trader, right? So, or maybe most of them, right? Maybe most of them are degen, right? They're like fucking option, traders. So make sure you don't hold calls, right? And you don't get burned out, right? You don't just get, your call get burned. So just make sure once you see this gap fill at $12, and maybe possibly this $17 to $18 or $19 gap filled, boom, that's when you sell. I think. I mean, I'm not gonna say, oh, you should sell here, sell there. I'm not gonna point that out. I'm just letting you know, where the gap is, so that you just prepare yourself, because that if you hold your call, and if you think that, oh yeah, AMC will go to the moon, AMC will hit like even fucking 100 this time, just make sure, just be careful with that mindset, because they're not gonna run like fucking 100% here at the $100, right? This thing, you guys remember the Lou versus Wall Street? I think he's right. This is a control squeeze. Okay, I think they're not gonna just like destroy the whole Wall Street or like the market, just letting the AMC run to like 100 or like 1,000. I don't think that's realistic. So this thing will be controlled, and there's a reason I think they left the gap there at the certain levels here and there. it looks like it just set up, and when the cycle kicks in, when the swap cycle kicks in, when the GME start to squeeze, they just let it run and fill those gaps. And then we, as a retail investors, just kind of looking at this, chart. That's all we have to do, right? All we can do. We don't have any insider information. I don't have any insider information. I'm just degen trader, and all we gotta do is just kind of recognize the pattern, recognize the timing, recognize where we at, and just place our bets. That's pretty much it, right? So, yeah, let's see. If we played out this way, we should expect a huge a crash here, right? I mean, this whole squeeze phase, right? The whole squeeze thing is like when this thing squeeze, there's gonna be a sharper pullback. So make sure you sell your calls when call options. It's not a shares, so this thing will come down to destroy your calls. So I'll make sure not to greedy this time, not to be too greedy this time. So I'll probably sell calls here, and maybe best buy some put options to take another gains. And then the next squeeze phase, it looks like based on the speed, it could happen in early next year. So, but we can talk about that later on time, because, and then as you can see, if this is how we're gonna move, it looks very, very nicely. It's making higher low like that, making a formation, another triangle formation here, very, very nicely. It's like it's like they're designing this one. It's like the market maker, the hedge funds, or whoever control these things is designing the shape. It looks very, very nice. It's like pull back down and then making a higher low, and then there will be a final short squeeze, right? So this will be the first one. The second one, I don't know if there's gonna be a third one here by end of September. If it does, that's great. Maybe there will be a third one. Who knows? Maybe. It looks like it's gonna happen, right? There's a third one, right? Because it's forming here, forming higher low. So there might be a third one, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, let's focus on this first squeeze first. Make sure you take the gain when that happens, especially the option players, option traders. That's September. Okay, let's see. Let me just go back to GME just 1 second, because I want to check it out. Because if this thing run like 2020 cycle, I think the final squeeze will be the August or something. That's how I notice. Yeah, 1 second. This is October. Okay, so there's a possibility that AMC could squeeze another one. Yeah, September, October next year. I think this will be the final one. Yeah, this is not the price. I think this should be the price. No, it's not this one. Yeah, I don't look at the price. Okay, anyway, so that's pretty much it, guys. So thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow is big day, I think, the May OPEX week, and then I think AMC algo start to run faster maybe today. So we'll see if AMC will have a pullback maybe tomorrow. If this thing starts to rip, hit that the gap at $2 and $2.09, then this thing is gonna run, right? This thing is gonna go for the first staircases, and next gap is $4, and then after the $4 gap is $12 gap, and after $12 gap, where is it? There's a fucking not $85 gap. There's a $12 gap, I think. Where's the gap? Oh yeah, there's a gap. Yeah, $19 gap. So yeah, $12, $19 is my target. I'm not gonna sell at 12, but I'm just saying that's just my target, between 12 to 19. That's just my target. It's up to you to make your own target. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. And for GME, target is my first target is last year May or June top to 70 to 60, and then my greedy target is 2021 Gen high, which is $120, I think. Yeah, somewhere there. So it's between May June top, between May June top to 2021 Gen top 120. So that's my target. FFAI, based on this fractal, there's a gap here at 1160, 1356. I mean, I just call it $14. So that's my target, 11 to 14. But maybe I'll be more conservative for this one. So my target will be somewhere between $8 to $10 for FFAI. So that's pretty much it, guys. So yeah, let's see how this thing plays out for tomorrow and then next week. So I'll continue to update you guys for the next one. All right, have a good night.